Welcome to Google. This will not be your average internship.
We're looking at some sort of mental Hunger Games against a bunch of genius kids for just like a handful of jobs.
That's a Sharpie, by the way, genius.
That's my fault.
Moviegoers getting a rare inside glimpse into Google's corporate culture next weekend when The Internship opens. The comedy with a heart stars Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson as a couple of career challenge 40-somethings trying to get an internship at the tech giant. Here with the details of just how inside Google they got is Rachel Dodds, who reports on entertainment for the Wall Street Journal. You know, everybody wants to see this, not just to see Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, who are hilarious when they do their comedy, but to get inside Google. How did the filmmakers convince Google to cooperate?
Well, you know, Vince Vaughn went over there and had this idea for a screenplay about these fish out of water interns, and it is a very funny concept, and they agreed to collaborate with him as long as they got approval over how their products were represented in the film.
And he and Owen Wilson, who have acted together before, and they do a lot of improv when they act. They play two out-of-work salesmen who are trying to rebuild themselves, and they want to get a foot in the door in the tech world, so they apply to Google. Hilarity ensues.
Yes.
They recreated a Google campus at Georgia Tech. How did they do that? How did they replicate it?
Yeah, well, Google's obviously a working company, so they couldn't have a film crew there for an extended period of time.
They could just build a new building, though, right?
Right. So they were there for about 5 days shooting exterior shots and some interiors, but you know, basically they recreated exactly Google headquarters within Georgia Tech.
And do they have access to Google executives? Did any money change hands between Google and the filmmakers?
No money changed hands at all, which is interesting. Yeah. There were no location fees or anything like that. So no.
So no. And the executives, did they talk to Google executives? Are there people in the film who maybe represent real life people?
Yeah, there's more than 100 extras that the director Sean Levy said were the most brilliant directable extras he's ever worked with on a movie. And one of them is Sergey Brin, one of the co-founders of Google, and he can be seen in one scene on an exercise bicycle in the background wearing workout gear.
That's his cameo in workout gear. One of the funniest things I've seen from the trailer is when an HR executive at Google is sort of asking people whether it's okay to, I think, to flirt in the workplace. We've got a clip of that. Let's take a look.
Okay.
We have rules. Red means no. Green means yes. Dating a fellow intern. You can't date an intern, no.
So we'll say no to love.
We'll say no to love, yes.
Is a one-night stand considered dating?
All right, so little dicey scene. I mean, pretty clean. But how did Google respond to that? Did they give notes? Did they have veto power over any scenes?
They didn't really have veto power. I guess if they strongly objected to something, they would have talked to the filmmaker. But that scene in particular was interesting because it was almost entirely improvised, which is the way Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson like to work. And in it, he basically asks a Google manager if he wants to get high and suggests that the policy prohibiting inter-office romance is wrong.
Bogus, right.
Yeah. So it could have been controversial, and Sean Levy was nervous when they screened it for Google executives, but ultimately they were okay with it because they realized that they had to have a sense of humor about themselves in order for this movie to actually resonate with people and be funny.
A lot of trust that has to go on there because, I mean, you cover entertainment day in, day out, and I'm just recalling from my own recollections that companies don't always come across that well in these films often.
No, they don't. I mean, normally a movie that cites a real company is a film about a lawsuit. You've got The Social Network, about the lawsuit between Zuckerberg and Eduardo Saverin. You've got Erin Brockovich, right. The Insider. All these films do not portray companies in a very positive light. And this one's different. It's a comedy, so it's kind of an interesting case study.
They were wrestling between R and PG-13. What did they end up at?
They ended up at PG-13, which is what Google preferred because they wanted it to be seen by more people and
younger people.
Yeah, the director said that he test screened the R and the PG-13 in side-by-side theaters, and he says audiences actually preferred the PG-13 version.
They like the cleaner version.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there was nothing about the concept that really mandated an R rating, so they talked about it and decided to go with the PG-13.
All right, Rachel Dodds, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, more in the Arena section tomorrow.